Welcome to Pope's Plates. We have an interesting recipe that we're preparing today, turkey lasagna. It's made with sweet Italian sausage made from turkey. We're going to do a few things here at the counter, and then we're going to move to the stove to do the rest of it, and then finally back to the counter again to put things together. This recipe has been sort of all over the internet before. I've made it repeatedly for my family. It's a really interesting recipe. In fact, I was asked to make it multiple times for our library luncheon. We do a luncheon for the staff at the library every year, and my lasagna recipe was a favorite, so I made that frequently along with salad and a salad dressing that has been recorded here on our channel, French dressing, which is also outstanding. I encourage you to look back for that video. That makes a really great addition to the meal. So we're slicing it calls for a large onion. I didn't have a large onion. I had a couple of smaller ones, and this one's got a little bit of a funky place in the middle, so I'm going to get rid of that. And these are sliced, chopped, fairly small. They will cook in some olive oil before we add the garlic to them. That looks like enough. I think I'm just not going to bother with the rest of this little piece over here. I don't think we need that one. That looks like enough onion. All right. Get the garbage out of the way here. I'm also going to chop the garlic. I've got 3 cloves of garlic. We want to chop them fairly fine, but they're too going to cook for a good long while in the sauce. The sauce has tomatoes, tomato paste. The tomatoes are crushed. They will cook along with the onion and the garlic and the sausage, and actually the grease from the sausage. There's not a lot of grease in this sausage, but we're going to keep that there because that adds a little bit of flavor. And we've addressed before that my knife skills are not the best, so I'm getting these as small as I can. All right, the final thing we're going to do here at the counter is get the casing off of the sausage links. This is sweet Italian sausage. It's not terribly spicy, and I really prefer it to using ground beef with lasagna. It has a different flavor profile to it, but it's really good. I just make a slit down the center of that sausage. Well, I say I do. Try to. And peel the skin off of the sausage so that you've got little flippy pieces of skin there. I'm adding some olive oil to the skillet. I got a pretty good sized skillet here because it's going to have to hold a lot. Turn the heat on and leave it on medium high until the oil is completely hot. And then we'll add the onions first. Remember, you don't want to add the garlic at the same time because the garlic can burn and it gets really bitter if it's burned too much. I think the onion can go in now. I'm making a little bit of a sizzly noise. So I've added all of that onion and stir it around so that it begins to cook, and we'll wait for this to be almost translucent before we add the garlic. The onion is translucent. I'm going to add the garlic. We'll cook the garlic for about a minute with the onion before we add the sausage to it, just until you begin to smell the garlic. It becomes a little bit fragrant as the heat hits it. Ooh, I can smell it. That smells good. I'm going to turn this heat down. We're going to add the sausage in. And I'm actually going to use another tool here. I've got something that's akin to a spatula that is easier to break up the sausage. And we don't want big chunks of sausage in our sauce. We want this to be pretty well broken apart. And it's going to take about 8 to 10 minutes for the sausage to brown completely. You do want it cooked through. You don't want to have partially raw sausage. Even though this is going to cook more in the oven, you still want the sausage cooked well. So I'm going to work on this, and when it's ready to start the next step, I'll be back with you. As you can see, there's not a great deal of grease in this, so I am not going to try to drain anything off. The next thing we're going to do is to add a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. And I'm going to actually save this can, set it aside, because we are trying something a little unusual. This time we have got oven-ready lasagna noodles. And the box of the oven-ready lasagna noodles said that for every layer of noodles, you're going to add 1/4 cup of water or milk to your sauce. So I'm going to keep that can to add a little bit of water to it. The next thing, I need a spoon here, is tomato paste. I'm going to add this in. Get as much of it out as I can. And some people suggest that when you're using tomato paste, that you add a little bit of sugar to the recipe to cut a little bit of the acidity of the tomatoes. This recipe does not call for any sugar added. I have not added sugar in the past, and I found it to be perfectly good without the sugar in it. All right, we're going to add now half of the parsley that we have prepared for this sauce. We're going to add all of the basil that we have. We're going to add half of the black pepper and half of the salt. The rest of the salt will go actually into the cheese filling that goes over the lasagna noodles. So we're going to let this simmer for maybe 10 minutes or so, just to blend the flavors. And I'm going to go and make the cheese sauce that will go over the noodles. The cheese sauce takes an entire container of ricotta cheese, I actually got part skim ricotta. You can certainly use whole milk ricotta. Makes it a little bit richer, adds a little bit more calorie to it. So I've got the part skim. You're also going to add a cup of Parmesan cheese. You're going to add the balance of the salt that we did not put in the sauce, the balance of the pepper that we did not put in the sauce. I'm going to go ahead at this point and add the egg and mix this together before I add the goat cheese and the parsley. I'll mix this just a little bit. And then I'm going to use the hand mixer to mix this well. That looks like it's mixed nicely enough. Add the balance of the parsley. And I'm going to get my hands messy again here with 4 ounces of goat cheese, just sort of broken up into the sauce, and then I'll stir it just a little bit. The goat cheese has a really nice tart flavor to it and really adds a lot to the dish when it's finished. To assemble the casserole, you put a little bit of sauce in the bottom of the pan. That's going to keep the noodles from sticking to it. Kind of smooth this out to cover as much of the bottom as you can. All right, these are the oven-ready lasagna noodles. Oh, interesting, they fit exactly in the pan. We're going to take part of the cheese mixture. And we're going to spread this to the extent that we can spread it over these noodles. All right, the next layer is some sliced mozzarella. Now you can get your own log of mozzarella and slice it yourself, but boy, these already done slices are really handy. Then we're going to add another layer of sauce. Another layer of noodles. Some more mozzarella. We didn't know whether or not we'd need to open a second container of mozzarella, but I think we're going to need to make sure we've got enough. So I'm going to do that and get that ready to go on our plate. All right, now half of the remaining sauce, because you want to end up with a layer of sauce on the top. So you may have to spread this out a little bit extra in order to cover. I'm going to put 3 more of our lasagna noodles in here. The rest of the cheese. This makes a good size dinner amount. We've got 5 people for dinner tomorrow night. One of whom is my son, who will probably eat half of this all by himself. But it makes for a very nice company casserole, and probably have some leftovers. Alrighty, that's good. Make sure I get all of that cheese mixture out of there. And let's put our last bits of mozzarella. You know anything about mozzarella, when it melts, Remember your pizza where you've got long stringy pieces of cheese hanging off? That's what this does. It really looks good when it's finished. Very fancy looking dish. All right, we're gonna put the last 3 slices on there. Okay, then we finish up with the balance of the sauce. I'll spread this out. Okay, I've got the final amount of sauce on the top. You use a cup of Parmesan in the cheese mixture, but I'm going to sprinkle Parmesan over the top of this. It will brown nicely when you cook it. I'd say probably I'm adding maybe another half cup to the top. When you bake this, you want to bake it with the cover on for about an hour, and then you're going to take the cover off so that the cheese on the top can really get brown and kind of crunchy. But the noodles will cook in the sauce. We added a little bit of extra liquid. Remember, I saved that in the tomato can and added a little bit of extra liquid to it. So we are preparing this. We're not going to cook it here at my home today. We're actually going to take it over to Jennifer's, and she will heat it up and fix it for dinner tomorrow night. If you like this recipe, please let us know. It's a favorite in our family. And until we see you next time, let's keep cooking.